perfect ride for you today with the New Year New Ride sales event at Guam Auto Spot. Get behind the wheel of the 2024 Outlander Sport starting at just $22,995 or only $156 per paycheck. Visit GuamAutospot.com or call 671-478-AUTO.
Find a plan that goes with your flow. Get unlimited local talk, text, and data at the most affordable rate with Unlimited Flow Postpaid, only at Docomo Pacific.
Wendy's Guam's Mushroom Bacon Cheeseburger is here for a limited time. Juicy beef, crispy applewood smoked bacon, roasted mushrooms, and your choice of melty Munster cheese or Asiago cheese, all on a toasted bun. You can go double or triple, but hurry, it won't last. Grab yours today only at Wendy's Guam. You or someone you know looking for a job? Well, Sentinel Security offers starting pay between $10 to $15 an hour, and they'll train you too. Email them today that you're interested at sentinelsolutionsguam@gmail.com. Sentinel Security, Guam's most reliable security solution for your home and business. This is supposed to be an ad for the Pistachio Berry Bliss Mother's Day cake over at Cold Stone Creamery, but in my freezer right now, I've got a malt chocolate shake, which is the best on the island. But let me just read this anyway. The moms in your life want ice cream. Treat them from now to Mother's Day to Cold Stone Guam's Mother's Day cake with its layers of moist yellow cake, pistachio ice cream, and pureed raspberries wrapped in a fluffy buttercream frosting. Head on over to Cold Stone's GPO or Micronesia Mall locations any day of the week. Cold Stone Creamery, the ultimate ice cream experience.
This news is brought to you by 76 Circle K Guam.
Hi, good afternoon, my friends. It is 3:11 p.m. on Sunday, April 27, 2025. Happy Day of the Lord. I have all my life, I've never been good with money, number one. I've been more responsible lately, though. I've never really cared about money. Money was just, to me, just this thing to get the things that I needed or that I wanted. There were some years when I was more responsible and I had, more means to spend on like more eating out, more gifts for people. I've never been a money person, and I don't handle the money for Kandit either. I hardly even handle my own finances. But I'm coming to you today requesting, not from those of you who don't have the means. I'm asking this only from our wealthier readers and viewers, those with a more comfortable disposable income, to help us in a money situation. This is nothing to do with keeping the lights on in Kandit. We have our advertisers, and we have a lot of new advertisers to do that. And some of you might be saying, well, if you don't eat out so much, you might have more money. That's so. First of all, we hardly pay for any of that food. Just FYI, I would not be able to afford all that eating out otherwise. So we need to sue people. We don't want to. This is the last thing that we wanted to do, was to take anybody to court. But I don't think at this point we have a choice. And if we let this go, we fear that these and other government employees will continue to trample on the rights of anybody to public records and public information. Good afternoon, Mark. Good afternoon, Millie. Thank you so much. And thank you to all of you for joining us. So here's the sitch. In late March, I want to say this was March 24, if I'm not mistaken. It might have been March 21. Actually, I think it was March 21. March 21, we aired an interview with the modulated voices of two people who we named Pat and Tyler. And Pat and Tyler were allegedly are direct witnesses to an alleged conspiracy that we know for a fact is being investigated by the FBI that resulted in raids back on August 18 against properties connected to Lieutenant Governor Josh Tenorio. And Pat and Tyler shined quite a bit of light and detail onto this alleged conspiracy that the FBI is investigating. One of them, between Pat and Tyler, had already been interviewed by the FBI, and so that this one of them is actually familiar with the case. And the details that they provided, it was a lot. It was quite a bit, and they allege, their accusations are that the Lieutenant Governor's sister, Teresa Tenorio, and his boyfriend, Matt Tapasnia, are or have been over a number of years, starting with the pandemic and all the federal funds that had come in from the pandemic, led a financial crimes conspiracy, and also accused at least Miss Tenorio of being involved in efforts to silence witnesses and to take advantage of several people. And so that aired, I believe it was the 21st of March, if I'm not mistaken. And so naturally, we had a lot of work to do. Naturally, we had to start a campaign to see whether we could independently verify Pat and Tyler's claims. And one of the places, well, the place where we did start was with the Port Authority of Guam, because Pat mentioned two names and said that those two names were actively involved with Miss Tenorio in some type of unethical, maybe even illegal activity over at the Port Authority. So I sent an email to one person on, I believe it was the 22nd of March, and the second person on the 28th of March. They were identical emails. Let me see if I can pull it up for you. Stand by. I'll read you what the email says. It's for phone records. Dear so-and-so, pursuant to the Freedom of Information Act, I hereby request copies of the following records. All your conversations on WhatsApp with Teresa Tenorio and Frankie Rosalind pertaining to any Port Authority of Guam or Government of Guam matter from March 15, 2020 through March 22, 2025. Inclusive of images and videos sent and received, as well, of course, as the written messages. I request these records from the downloadable transcript through your WhatsApp, with redactions made to the transcript for conversations not with Teresa Tenorio or Frankie Rosalind. Wherever the transcript indicates an image or document or video file was sent or received, I request those files as well. Do not redact any entries on the transcript that indicate you deleted any part of the conversation. I request, as is my right under the law, for these copies of records to be given to me in electronic format, sent to me at troy@candidnews.com. I do not want to be made to pick up physical copies at the Port Authority, as I fear for my life and my safety there. Furthermore, I ask that you copy nick@koam.com in your response to me. Thank you and God bless you. I received no response from the first employee, the one I sent the March 22 email to. According to the law, there are things that are not considered as public records, and they are identified in the Sunshine Reform Act of 1999. And then everything else that's not identified as exempt is considered a public record. Court cases since 1999, because 1999 was way before WhatsApp, before the regular use of email on this island. Court cases since then have ruled that if you are a government employee and you conduct any kind of government business on any of your private devices, those are to be disclosed when requested, even if it's on your private device. So if it's on your private email, on your private computer at home, or if it's on your private phone, on your WhatsApp or your text message or whatever, or your voicemail, if they pertain to government business, they are public records and must be disclosed within 4 working days of the request, or you can request for an extension of up to 10 days, 10 calendar days, if a certain threshold is met. So the first person I sent it to, and this was back on March 22nd, so it's way beyond the 4 days, way beyond the 10 days, never responded at all. The second person responded with this. Dear Mr. Torres, I respectfully decline your request. Moreover, I regret to inform you that your request does not fall within the scope of the Freedom of Information Act. For your edification, FOIA pertains exclusively to official government records, not private communications on personal devices or platforms. As captivating as the prospect of decrypting brunch plans or deciphering gift-laden text messages may be, such conversations, unless related to official government business, remain well outside the reach of FOIA's statutory purview. I sincerely encourage you to seek out a review of FOIA's intended scope and application to avoid inappropriate future forays into the purely personal. Warm regards, and I'm redacting this person's name. I didn't ask for the private messages between this person and Teresa Tenorio or Frankie Rosnan. I very specifically asked for the disclosure of public records of the WhatsApp messages dealing with government business. This has never been provided. The request was made on March 28. This person never said that there are no records responsive to my request. This person never responded to the request with the disclosure of the records. It's been way past the 4 days. It's been way past the 10 days. And then in the midst of this, I received information that the powers who are had been using their power to retaliate against a federal witness in this case. And it had to do with personnel actions regarding limited term appointments over at Department of Public Works. So on March 24, I emailed Vince Ariola, the Director of Public Works, and Deputy Director Linda Ibanez. Buenos, Mr. Ariola and Miss Ibanez, pursuant to the Freedom of Information Act or Sunshine Reform Act of 1999, I request digital copies to be sent to troy@kanditnews.com and nick@koam.com of the GG1s of limited term appointment personnel within the Department of Public Works that were executed between October 1, 2024 and today. Thank you so much. That was March 24, 2025. 4 days passed. I didn't think anything of it. I had never had a problem with DPW FOIA before. On I think it was the 6th working day, I called up. I asked to speak to Linda Ibanez. She called me back. She assured me that they were going to respond. They were just waiting for Assistant Attorney General Tom Keeler to provide his notes. No response that day. A couple of days later, I called again. Same thing. She said they're just waiting on Tom Keeler. A couple of days later, again, same thing. Waiting for Tom Keeler. A few days more, Nothing. It has been more than a month. And unlike WhatsApp messages, I mean, none of it's in a gray area, but LTAGG ones, that's easily retrievable. You can do that within 10 minutes and you can email it over. Why they're sitting on LTAGG ones, clearly public personnel records, I can only assume. And here's the thing. If we allow these 3 government employees, oh, and by the way, I got a bounce back from Vince Ariola's email. Apparently the email address that I use no longer is working. And I never bothered to send him a physical copy because I never had a problem with DPW honoring FOIA requests before. I just assumed that Linda Ibanez would take, because she told me that she would take care of it. So I didn't bother to FOIA him. So I can't sue Vince Ariola because I never got him an actual copy of my request. Whether Linda Ibanez gave it to him, I don't know. But Linda Ibanez did receive my request. She did acknowledge it. She did speak to me on several occasions. She did assure me that the Assistant Attorney General or DPW was going to respond to the request. It's been way longer than 4 days. It's been way longer than 10 days. This is not one of those things where you can just let it go. Because if you just let it go, it emboldens not just these people, but others who would follow suit, who would look at this and say, hey, they got away with it. Why do we have to comply? And this is the problem when government employees begin to believe that they somehow own these records or they're the arbiters of transparency, when clearly the legislature has already litigated this. First in 1986 with the Sunshine Act, which built a first standard of transparency. Then in 1999, when the late Speaker Mark Forbes, along with journalists, reformed the Sunshine Reform Act into what's currently colloquially known as the Freedom of Information Act. And since then, lawyers, reporters, senators, federal law enforcement agents, everyday citizens on and off Guam have used the FOIA to invoke their right to public records. And yeah, sometimes government of Guam employees make mistakes. Sometimes they miss deadlines. You know, these things have happened. It's been few and far between, but they have happened. And most of the time, these are just mistakes and they're corrected right away. I can only think of 2 instances where there was a purposeful evasion or a purposeful failure to provide public records. And that was one back in, I want to say it was 2015 or 2016 when Bob Klitzkie sued then Director of Land Management for land records pertaining to the Archdiocese of Agana. Sued and won. And that director had to pay a $1,000 fine out of his pocket. And then recently, Tom Fisher sued Taitague for refusing or for never furnishing Tom Fisher with WhatsApp text message records between herself and the Attorney General related to a certain bill. That case was ruled in Tom Fisher's favor, but it's not done yet because the judge still has to determine whether Ms. Taitague acted arbitrarily and capriciously, meaning with malicious intent. She withheld the documentation. And if that's decided, if the judge decides that Ms. Taitague had malicious intent, acted capriciously, she can face a criminal charge. And so, you know, the legislature has built in these mechanisms so that the public's right to records, the public's right to own the government and to exercise that ownership over the government by being able to review on-demand public records and to take or to receive within 4 working days copies of those public records to ensure that the public always has that right. They've built in these mechanisms. You can, with due process, you can take these employees to court and they can be instructed by the court to disclose. They can be fined and face civil penalties, and they can even face criminal charges. The issue is it takes money to take someone to court. And it might not be a lot of money. It's not like a criminal case. It's not like a long, drawn-out civil lawsuit. It's just a determination of whether the employee failed to disclose public records. And furthermore, if the employee is found to have failed to disclose the public records, did the employee do so arbitrarily and capriciously? It takes a little bit of money. And like I said in the beginning, it's not like I've run this business to make a whole lot of profit or to save up a whole lot of money. Our advertisers do pay our bills, and we are thankful for them, but we have not saved up enough. We've never provided a dividend to our incorporators, and we certainly don't have $10,000 lying around. So if you are wealthy, or if you have comfortable disposable income, I do ask you if you can donate to our legal fund. And if we do prevail in court and we are awarded attorney's fees and court costs adequately, we will refund your donation. We're trying to raise $10,000 for this so that we can get our attorney to file this lawsuit against these 3 employees, because the public's right to know has to prevail over the hubris and arrogance of government employees who do not follow the law. For Kandit News, I'm Troy Torres. Thank you so much for listening to me, for considering this donation, and for your time.
We got that dynamite. We got that dynamite.
Find the perfect ride for you today with the New Year New Ride sales event at Guam Auto Spot. Get behind the wheel of the 2024 Outlander Sport, starting at just $22,995 or only $156 per paycheck. Visit GuamAutospot.com or call 671-478-AUTO.